What's up, concert addicts? Johnny Kinswater here with Concert Addiction with another country music festival lineup to talk about. I just made a video talking about the Hometown Rising Festival, which released their lineup yesterday. Earlier this week, we got a lineup announcement from the Watershed Festival, which this year is taking place August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Gorge. I'm not entirely sure where this one is located. Let me look real quick. I know that it is the largest country music festival in the Midwest, or in the Northwest rather, and this one takes place in Quincy, Washington. I should have had that ready to go before I started making this video, but they dropped their lineup, so let's go ahead and talk about it. The headliners will be Miranda Lambert with Pistol Annies, because why not, and Zac Brown Band and Jason Aldean. So starting with Miranda Lambert and Pistol Annies, she has kind of had a resurgence over the past couple of years. Not that she ever went anywhere necessarily, but last year, the biggest thing I saw her do was headline Country Jam. When in the past, she's had tours headlining multiple festivals and bigger events and things like that. So she's kind of quieted down a little bit. And all of a sudden this year, she's been booked for Cheyenne Frontier Days and this and a bunch of other festivals, and she's getting back together with the Pistol Annies, and they've been doing a lot of work. They've actually got a song on the radio right now, and I think that's really kick-ass, and I'm really happy that she's on this bill, and it's cool to see her in the headline slot because, she hasn't been making music very long. It doesn't seem like, anyways. I know she's not very old. I think she's only in her young 30s or something like that. To see her at the front of one of these bills, I think is phenomenal. Zac Brown Band is doing a huge baseball stadium tour this year, so it makes sense that they pop up on a couple festivals along the way too. They usually tour pretty heavily. This year they're touring. They're in support of their album called The Owl, I believe is what it is. And if you just look at the difference between Miranda Lambert's sound and Zac Brown Band's sound, they're both country and they're both awesome, but in their own ways. So just in these 2 days, just out of the headliners, you're going to have a good variety of modern traditional country music. That's the way I look at it anyway. So I think those two alone are great. And then Jason Aldean, solid pick for any country music festival. He's obviously played a lot of these events, played Cheyenne Frontier Days every couple of years, was at, playing the Route 91, which was the biggest one of the biggest country music festivals in the country. He's played the iHeartRadio Festival, the iHeart Country Fest. He's probably one of the hottest country stars, if not the hottest country star on the planet. He plays baseball stadiums too and sells them out, so he's a perfect get for any country music festival. He's played Country Jam also. So yeah, cool to see him, and he just keeps cranking out music. I know he doesn't really write his own songs, but he does record them, and so I have to give him credit for that because there's not too many artists that I could think of that have as consistent of a record as him, as far as like several number ones every single year, each one sounding different than the last. He's a talent for sure, and an awesome performer to add to this. And then we got Kayne Brown, Brothers Osborne, Chris Young, Maren Morris, Midland, Kip Moore, Michael Ray, Cam, Cody Johnson, and DJ Silver. And Kayne Brown is the top name on that. He is obviously one of country music's fastest rising stars since his debut last year, or 2017, I think. He went from nobody knowing who he was to just headlining a small theater tour. Then, obviously he toured with Chris Young and Jason Aldean, and has kind of made a name for himself supporting other artists, but he's been doing solo shows along the way. On these tours, he'll go off and play a theater by himself, and he usually sells them out. He's one of the hottest names right now for sure, and so it's no wonder that they would try to get him for a festival, especially if it's the biggest festival in the Northwest. Obviously, you want the biggest growing name right now, and that's Kayne Brown, so good on him. And I think it's phenomenal that somebody who has like 3 songs that have been released to radio anyways is this big already. I think that's awesome, so good on him. He'll make a perfect addition to that. Brothers Osborne, they headline quite a bit. I'm surprised they're not a headliner on this festival, but if you have to... if it was make them a headliner or make someone like Miranda Lambert the headliner, I see why they went that way, especially these other artists might not go on the bill if they're not the headliner. Brothers Osborne, though, definitely could be. They've been growing fast, too. They've won the Best Duo probably 3 times, I think, at the CMAs. They tour Chris Stapleton, and now they're touring by themselves. They're headlining the Greeley Stampede this year. They've headlined quite a few shows. They tour all the time by themselves, so... and they have a more traditional kind of country sound, a new style sound, too, that a lot of people seem to like. So they're a good pick for these kind of festivals. Also, just for adding some variety. Chris Young is another one who could have easily headlined this thing just because of his amount of hits that he has. But his name doesn't have the draw for whatever reason. Even though he tours like crazy, it seems like every year he does some sort of crazy tour, and he's got songs and songs and songs, a huge list of songs that are hits, but he's one of those names that just doesn't stick for whatever reason. When I'm talking to people, I'll talk about him, they don't know who he is, I'll play a couple songs that go, oh yeah, but for some reason his name doesn't have the recognition, but he will one day. I mean, he's still pretty young in his career and things like that, so it's cool to see him added to this festival too, but I'm pretty sure one day he'll be headlining things like this. Maren Morris, best new artist a couple years ago. Now she's playing this giant festival, third name on the list besides the headliners. I think that's great. She announced her Girl World Tour this year that she's heading out with Ray Lynn and Cassadee Pope. She's got big plans for this year, obviously, and this won't be the only festival she's on, and so she's got a busy year ahead of her, because not only does she touring massively by herself, and it's a world tour. It's not just North American, you know, a couple months. She's going everywhere. And she's still making time to do these festivals too. I think that's awesome. Good on her. Midland was growing pretty fast. They debuted in 2017 with Drinking Problem. It was like the middle of September. It wasn't like a prime time of year or anything like that. They sold out their first concert at the Grizzly Rose, which I went to, and I got to meet them there, and it was awesome. And since then, they've popped up on a couple tours. They toured with Lady Antebellum and things like that. But as far as singles on the radio, they have 3. The first one was a big hit, obviously, Drinking Problem. The second one wasn't as successful, I don't think, as they wanted to, but they're having a lot of luck with their one that they have out right now, which name is escaping me, but nonetheless, these are really fun dudes, especially to see perform, and I think they'll go really good in this mix of different artists. You got Kayne Brown, Maren Morris, Zac Brown. Like, it's a total... it's just such a diverse variety of music that they're definitely going to add to that, and they've got that great traditional flavorful kind of sound too, that's perfect for these kind of outdoor country shows. So the fact that it's a full festival and they're part of it, they're a perfect pick for it. Kip Moore, he's one that I'm kind of surprised isn't higher up on this list, because he does do quite a bit of headlining by himself. He's played big shows in my area. He's played at the University of Wyoming. He just was announced as a headliner for the Greeley Stampede this year, but he bounces back and forth. He bounces back and forth between being a headliner and being supporting. As far as touring goes, he did do a headline tour last year. He played theaters around the country. Before that, he goes back and forth, because the last couple times I've had the opportunity to see him, once was he was opening up for Tim McGraw, next was he was playing by himself, then he was opening up for Dierks, then he was playing by himself again. So he bounces back and forth, kind of just doing whatever he wants, and yeah, he'll add it. He will make a good addition to this lineup. Michael Ray has a very successful song on the radio right now, which is another one whose name escapes me, but it's cool to see this dude kind of coming back. He got in trouble a little while ago. His career, he had a couple big hits when he first came out, and then his career was kind of in a lull, and then he got a DUI or something, and it seemed like it might have been done for him, but he's slowly coming back, and he's been attached to a bunch of big tours. I think he's heading out with Florida Georgia Line this year too, and so doing festivals on top of that I think's awesome. Plus he just got engaged, which is great, so it's cool to see him still working and trying to move past his fuck-ups like we all have to do eventually. And yeah, he's another one that's going to work his way up these festival bills. He's pretty low down here this year, but as the years come and go, he's going to be close to the top, and he'll probably be a headliner at one of these things one of these days. Cam has been one who hasn't made a whole lot of noise mainstream-wise. She only ever had like one song on the radio, but she has been very successful as a touring performer. She's toured with Niall Horan, and who obviously isn't in the country world, but he's one of the largest touring acts out right now in just the world of music. I believe he's a pop singer, but he plays big shows all over the place, and she toured with him last year, so she's still making a lot of noise, even though we don't hear it because she doesn't play on country radio a whole lot anymore for whatever reason. But I've had a chance to meet her before, and she's just a sweetheart, and I love seeing people succeed, especially people whose careers I've kind of watched from the beginning. So cool to see her on this. And DJ Silver I'm not too familiar with, but Cody Johnson is one who's making big moves this year. He's also headlining the Greeley Stampede, and he's played shows in my area for quite a while now, but he's just now getting songs on the radio and kind of breaking out of this underground thing and trying to go mainstream. And so adding him to all these festivals is a very smart move, and it's a good move for him too. So there you go. That's the Watershed Music Festival. I'm losing my voice. Fuck. Watershed Music Festival, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Gorge. I'll post a link in the description where you can see the full lineup and get your tickets and all the other information you might need. I hear the camping at this festival is really fun too, so make sure to check that out, and make sure to like this video if you liked it and subscribe to this channel. Also check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/concertaddiction, and concertaddiction.com, my website. And I'm going to wrap this one up because I can't talk. Thanks for watching. Bye.